it's Ines. I also go by Insel, and I mostly do cozy traditional art. And my little goal is with this video to bring a bit of positivity and comfort into your life. So grab a hot tea or a hot cocoa and maybe a sketchbook, and let's slow down in this video together. So today we're keeping it simple. It's starting to get cold outside again, and I just wanted to draw something that feels like a warm hug and that feels really cozy. So I decided to do a little bit of comfort food again. And on Threads, I asked what your favorite comfort food is, and ramen was a very popular one. And it is actually my comfort food too, so it was a no-brainer. And I decided to draw a little bit of ramen. And to be honest, there's just something about comfort food that hits different when it's getting colder outside. You know, that first time in the year when you actually need socks again and you realize the summer is gone. And I think that's ramen season for me. I feel like autumn always brings that quiet, creative energy. Like it's the season of staying in, painting, reading. And speaking of that, if you have book recommendations that fit this cozy mood, things that feel like a blanket for your brain, please drop them below, because I really need a lot more cozy books to read. I recently read The Pumpkin Spice Cafe and I really liked it, so if you have something in that regime, let me know, please. And yeah, traditional art itself has been a comfort zone for me for years. But actually lately I've been exploring digital art a little bit just for fun. And I really feel like it's so different and you don't get the same textures or that smell of paper and ink. But there's this freedom to undo, experiment and move things around. And yeah, to be honest, I still always come back to my markers because I love them so much. As you can see, I'm using Ohuhu alcohol markers for this painting. And to be honest, I just love my Ohuhu markers. I'm not able to compare them to Copic markers or anything else because I didn't use or I haven't used other alcohol markers yet, but I really feel like the drawing experience with them is very satisfying. And I was really motivated to actually draw that ramen, and it's funny, on the first view ramen looks so simple, but when you start drawing it's actually full of textures, and I was very intimidated to draw all these noodles and get the shading right and everything, because it looked a little bit tedious, but I'm really happy with the results, so I hope you like it too. I'm actually also really happy with the eggs, and the trick is to get a nice result with alcohol markers is to layer the colors very, very carefully, because they can layer easily on top of each other. And I just go from very light to darker and darker. And as you might have seen, I put down a light yellow color all over the broth where the noodles are and the broth is, and a light brown color where the meat was going to go. And then I also colored in the egg yolks with a light yellow color. And this I actually do, or this method is called color blocking, I think. I'm not an expert, but I think that method is called color blocking. And I do that so I can see where which toned colors are going to go, and that I can see how the colors look next to each other. And I think it's much easier that way to then start layering colors on top if you have those colors laid out beforehand. Yeah, and if you hear construction in the back, that's actually because there's construction in the back. Our neighbors are drilling the whole day, so I tried to find a time slot where there's less drilling. So yeah, I hope I managed to find one, but we will see by the end of this video. Yeah, I was a little bit struggling with painting in the meat because I think I have a lot of brown markers actually, but I don't have markers that are in between this mid-tone brown and that light brown, and therefore I struggled a little bit with making the gradient so that the colors fade smoothly into each other. But I think I managed quite well in hindsight. I just decided for an overall darker tone for the meat and then went with it. So I just covered everything, but I think in hindsight it looks really good. At first I was just really scared that all the meat stripes would look very burnt, but I usually go in with a Posca marker at the end to highlight everything, and one can fix so much with just going in with highlights. When I think of comfort food, it's not really about the taste. It's kind of about the memory. And don't get me wrong, I still really love ramen and I really love the taste of ramen. But most of the time, I'm not making the fancy kind. I just take the simple one. Most of the time, it's an instant ramen, which is not comparable, I know. But that's where I find my comfort most of the time. So there is something cozy in the simplicity of that meal, I think. And it's just something I can make when the world feels a little bit too loud. And its smell then gets me first, normally. So the steam rising from the bowl, warm and salty and kind of sweet at the same time, always reminds me of very slow evenings when time didn't rush anywhere and one could take the time to eat the soup by oneself and maybe watch a YouTube video. I usually watched Let's Plays when eating ramen, and I also have that when I eat different kinds of ramen, I'm teleported back to that feeling or to the universe of where I watched the Let's Play from. So I have a specific brand of ramen which reminds me of the Forest Let's Play, if you know that. And that's really kind of funny because every time I open that or I make that ramen for myself now, I am teleported back to that feeling and I just get these vibes again and want to play that game by myself again. And I think that's very cool. And I think smell is kind of funny that way because it's kind of like a shortcut to the past. You can forget faces or words, but when you then smell a smell again, it can open a door you didn't even know was still there. And this scent of something cooking, or rain on the street, or paper on and ink, they just pull me back instantly. For example, just smelling rain. I don't know if you know that smell, but the smell of rain just teleports me back to my childhood when we played outside together and we knew a thunderstorm was coming or something, or just rain was coming, and you smelled that. And I think that's very cool, and that's a very comforting feeling of nostalgia. I was actually wondering if there are people out there who have different comfort foods for different seasons, because yeah, I think that would be very cool. I think I have different comfort foods for different times of day. So ramen is the one I go to in the evening. But if I need a comfort food in the morning, I usually go for porridge or just make myself a matcha latte. And yeah, if you have any suggestions or if you want to share your comfort food, please leave a comment. I think that would be very inspiring, and maybe I can turn it into art too. That would be very cool, because I need a lot more information to do more art and to draw a lot more food. And yeah, maybe I can try it out too, and it will become a new comfort food of mine too. As you can see, I'm drawing the spring onions at the moment, and I actually had a really hard time with coloring them in, because it's a very complex structure if you just have them piled up like that, and I wasn't really sure where I should put in all the shadows of each and every piece of spring onion, and therefore I went in with a colored pencil to make the outline, to then be able to see where the shadows should go and where I should layer the darker green to then make the shadows, and that worked very, very well. As you might have noticed, my voice sounds a little bit off today, a little bit cracky. That's actually because I caught a cold last week, and it really got me this time. So it started pretty mild, to be honest. I was just feeling a little bit under the weather, but then I had to help at a university party to clean up afterwards, and well, lifting a bunch of heavy drink crates while being sick wasn't the best idea. Yeah, not exactly doctor approved behavior. So I did that, felt heroic for an hour, and then spent the next few days basically horizontal, drinking tea and pretending it was fine. So yeah, after 3 days I thought I'd recovered. And you know, that overly optimistic moment when you convince yourself you're healthy again because you're bored of being sick. So yeah, I walked to university because I actually thought I'm fine again. And yeah, I walked there in what might have been the worst weather possible. So it was freezing, raining sideways, and that kind of rain that feels personal. So halfway there, my umbrella broke because of the wind. So yeah, it actually snapped, and I arrived completely soaked. So trying to look like I had my life together while quietly dripping onto the lecture floor. And of course, that's when the cold came back full force. Yeah, I had a whole day of lectures ahead of me, and I was completely soaked. And after 2 lectures, I had lunch break, and I had to decide between going home, changing clothes, and staying there and having something to eat. And yeah, you might know from what I draw that I'm kind of a foodie. So yeah, I stayed there to eat, and I thought I was halfway dry again already. So yeah, if I go home, change my clothes, it's the same. And well, yeah, it was fine, mostly. And yeah, I still sound a bit weird and my throat's still recovering, but I'm alive and caffeinated, so that counts, I think. But if you have any good home remedies, like your grandma's secret healing soup or some magical ginger shot recipe, let me know. I will definitely try out a ginger lemon garlic shot, which sounds horrible. It actually sounds like you smell very bad afterwards, but if it helps, it helps. And I'm trying it, so yeah. I don't have anywhere to go today, so it's okay if I smell like garlic, I think. And yeah, honestly though, it's moments like that where comfort food makes sense again. There's just something about warm soup when you're sick, the steam, the smell, and the quiet feeling that you'll be okay soon. And maybe that's why I ended up drawing ramen at all. So sometimes your body tells you what it needs before your brain catches up, and I think that was the case for me, and I think I'm gonna have ramen soon. As you can see, I'm going in with a darker marker over the noodles again to darken the broth step by step. And yeah, that was the part where I was a little bit scared about, anxious about. But I think it worked out very well. And then I'm going in to draw the bowl or to paint the bowl. And at first I wasn't really sure if I wanted it to be like a rustic brown bowl or if it should be like that black fancy bowl you get in ramen restaurants most of the time. So yeah, I just went in with a gray marker to make the shadows darker, to then be able to go over it with another dark marker to decide later which direction I want to go. And I think I decided for a very dark rustic bowl, which looks something like a modern bowl. Yeah, I didn't decide anything, I just went with the middle way, so yeah, that's that. But I was very careful with doing the shadows actually. And as you can see, I'm using the same technique, going in with the lightest gray I had and then going darker step by step, and also making the outer lines darker so that it looks a little bit more natural. And I actually darkened the line where the soup ends a little bit, because the soup itself also has a shadow. And at that corner right there, you can see that I'm painting right now. I actually tried to lift some paint or lift some marker, and that worked quite well. That I was surprised about. So yeah, I went in with a lighter marker on the darker marker to then make the red shadow, or the red, is it called backlight? The reflection from the table. Yeah, on that bowl, to then have that reflecting light hitting the bowl from the lower side. Exactly, and now I'm going in with some colored pencils, and I'm not sure if I love this part or if I think it is incredibly tedious, because you can add a lot detail on your painting with colored pencils. But especially for this one, I think it didn't make that much of a difference. So yeah, I didn't do a lot of color pencil work on this one. And I actually also tried to keep the background quite simple. The only really cool thing I thought about doing with color pencils was this white steam, and I think it looks very, very cool. Maybe that white steam is because some people on threads thought that my drawing was AI, but yeah, cannot do anything about that. I still think it looks cool. So I think I'm just taking that as a compliment. And yeah, then I'm doing my favorite part, which is actually going in with highlights. I love using my white Posca pen for that, and I think I need a new one soon because I'm using it a lot lately and I feel like it's going to run out very soon, and then I don't know what to do. So maybe I'm gonna get one. And I actually never experienced that they went dry or anything, and I think I have that Posca pen for sure 5 years, probably more. So I don't think they dry out at all if you close them properly. So big fan. I love them, and it's so fun to add some highlights, especially to the soup. I think the noodles look so much better with the highlights, and the eggs too. Everything looks better with highlights, let's be honest. Yeah, you can probably tell that I'm also the kind of girl that likes sparkly things. As I told you in the beginning of this video, I actually don't do just traditional art, but recently I started doing digital art, and that is because I tried to design my own stickers, or I actually did design my own stickers. And if you want to be part of that process and have a little bit of behind the scenes of how I actually create them, feel free to follow me on Instagram and Threads, where I post the stuff that I draw a little bit earlier, and you can actually have a little bit of view behind the scenes. That means on Threads I actually post some polls where you can then vote for the sticker designs and vote for which color palette you like and if you want them signed or not, for example. So if you want to join that process, feel free. I have all my socials linked in the description below. And yeah, I just want to say I'm very, very glad, I'm very grateful for that beautiful community. It is so very cool to connect with people that are as creative as I am, which are artistic and appreciate art as much as I do, and it is such a beautiful, positive community. And yeah, it's just a beautiful place. Nevertheless, I'm very happy that you watched this video. I hope you enjoyed it and it brought a little bit of comfort and peace into your life. And yeah, if you actually enjoyed it, I would be so happy if you would like and subscribe. That helps me out a lot. And I really hope to see you in my next one. Until then, bye.